Hello everyone and welcome down to episode 166 of the Down South Photo Show with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Victoria, Australia. And again, we've got another guest on the other screen or in your other ear if you're listening to the podcast. It's a big Down South Photo Show. Hello to Felicity Johnson. Hello, Felicity.
Hi, Brendan. You can call me Flick if you want. Everybody else does.
Yes. Well, I was going to say Flick, Fliss. I've also...
Yeah, Fliss. Yep.
Flick and Fliss is good.
Yep.
How are you?
I'm really good. I have had a beautiful day today out in the foggy forest and just photographing the beautiful.
I did see a social media post and for those of you who don't know Felicity, you're about to. There's a couple of very good reasons I've asked Felicity to come onto the show, not least of which is she's a very talented photographer. And I want to pick her brain a little bit more about what she's into, the kind of photography she does and all that kind of stuff. So as I say, you guys will learn along the way with me as well. But I will start by saying I did have the pleasure of having Felicity Flick along on our Murray Mallee workshop earlier in the year at the end of March into early April. And it opened my eyes a little bit to, as I say, without wanting to blow smoke, just how much of a talented photographer you actually are. So thank you again for coming along on the show.
Thank you so much. And that was the best workshop. I really enjoyed it.
Really? Tell us more.
Yeah,
no,
I
that's
did.
fine. You don't have to.
No, I did. It was a lot of fun, and that landscape is beautiful. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Mallee, and I'm proud to say that there's not very many workshops that go on in that region. And it's my old stomping ground, of course. So that's why I enjoy taking people there, because I know the place pretty well. But it's also quite unique, isn't it?
Oh, very unique. And I think a lot of people don't understand it, don't know what's there. So
yeah. It's one of those places you've heard about or you've driven through it, and that's about it.
Yep. My dad's from the Mallee and the Wimmera, so
very good.
Been there a lot. Yeah.
Now, not wanting to mispronounce the name of the place where you actually are, can you tell me the name of where you actually are?
Gornong.
Right.
Yep. Which is between Elmore and Bendigo. Yep.
All right. Well, so look at me. I'm all high tech. I've got a map on the screen here. So here we have Melbourne. I think most people would know where Melbourne is. And if you head sort of northwest of Melbourne, you get to this wonderful town of Bendigo. And then if you head sort of northeast of Bendigo, you get to, there it is right there.
Yeah.
Gornong.
So we're not actually in the town. If you head down a little bit, and you can see the start of the forest. We're just on the edge of that tallest bit of forest.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we won't show everyone exactly where you live because you'll have a stalker coming. But
right next to the forest, so I'm pretty lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So just outside Bendigo in regional Victoria. So when you are in that area, you're going to see Flick out in the field chasing all sorts of photographs. She's a proper shutterbug in the true sense of the word. Prolific photographer, I would say. You're a huge fan of the Bright Festival of Photography, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well, which is where I think I first met you there. Is that right? Or did you come down to one of our one dayers or something like that? Anyway.
No. It's probably there, and then really got to know you on the bus trip. Yeah.
That's exactly on the big bus trip, which I'm happy to say is happening again in October, including me going back on the big bus trip as well. I've pinched this straight from your website or / Instagram page. With camera in hand, I love immersing myself in nature, listening, looking and feeling the treasures around me. I enjoy slowing down and refining my art of seeing. Those words still ring true to you, Flick?
Absolutely. So just slowing down in the forest and seeing things that a lot of people don't see. I come back with very sore knees often, but getting down on the ground, but
When we interview people on the show, as you well know, because you told me just before that you have watched a couple of the interviews and that made you nervous, but please don't be, because you don't have to be, because you know your way around photography. You know me as well. So let's start with what I like to call burst mode. What was your first camera?
That's so funny because I started photographing when I was 16, and because I'm pretty old, I can't remember it. I feel really sad about that, actually. Because I wish I did. My first proper camera that I can remember is a Canon PowerShot.
Oh, right.
Yeah, probably the earlier, I don't know, SX or something like that. I can't remember now.
Did
But
it take AA? Did it take AA batteries?
It probably did. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but I went to Indonesia and I took lots of photos there when I was 16, and Tassie Wilderness when I was 18. I had a slide film camera, and I honestly can't remember, and I'm a bit sad about that.
that's all right. I want you to do some research and come back to us and see if you can find out. Ask around. I'm sure there's going to be a photo of you holding a camera back in the day. There must be.
Probably. Dad's probably got a photo of me doing that.
And I'm going to hazard a guess, and I'm going to say that your first camera was a Canon PowerShot A500 or an A520 or something like that.
Yeah.
4 AA batteries, maybe a CF card.
Yeah.
Tiny little screen. I love it.
Hey, but it took good moon photos because it had the biggest zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then
yeah.
it probably is like an SX10 or something like that in that
case.
It
was probably about 15, 16, 17 years ago, or maybe 14, 15 years ago. Yeah.
All right. So what is your current camera? What's your current setup?
Well, I've gone through all the Nikons. So I went 5200, 750, 780, and now Z8.
Wonderful.
And I love the 750 and 780, really good cameras, but I'm a bird photographer, so wanted the good eye tracking, so I've gone to Z8. Yeah.
Okay. And how did you find the transition from SLR to mirrorless?
Quite easy, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't come across any things that are difficult, and I'm a big YouTuber, so I always look things up myself and work them out. I found some really good Australian birders, and I followed their settings, and I've totally changed that to adapt to myself now. So, yeah.
It's funny because you do call yourself primarily a birder, but you're clearly into your landscape photography as well, macro photography, and as I saw recently, your aerial photography as well. So you are a Jill of all trades.
And some portrait recently too, out in Melbourne in studios and stuff. So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and that's thanks to the camera club. Yeah,
which we'll talk about a bit as we go on.
Yeah.
What's your favorite lens combination?
My 105 macro f2.8 on the Z. Yeah, I've
nice.
I had that one for a long time, and then I bought a new one with the Z8.
Brilliant. And color or black and white?
Color, because I think with nature photography, color sort of tells the story a bit more than, maybe architectural photography or whatever. And it also tells a story about the habitat that it's in. But I do love black and white. I love looking at black and white. Yeah.
Given that you probably not that long ago went to the Z8, or maybe a year or two ago, would that be right?
Valentine's Day. My Valentine's present this year.
you remember the date? So, well, that was a good date to get a new camera.
Yeah. Love my husband.
So given that, what is your dream camera? Unlimited budget. Do you have a dream camera, or do you already own it?
I do find the Z8 with my 180 to 600 really heavy. So I don't know. I want to investigate and talk to people about, maybe as I get older, is there something that's just as good that's lighter? And that would be my dream camera. Because I'll be out all day with that rig, and it's really going bush off track, and it's heavy. So
I must say, it's probably the number one thing we get on workshops is people lugging heavier gear as they get older. And I'm hand in the air, I'm one of them. I mean, you do find the gear gets heavier and heavier every month, and you want to try but you still want to have that zoom reach, and you still want to have that gear. So it is a tricky one for sure.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe there's some OM systems that will do some really good work a bit better for me with the macro and the birds and stuff. But
that is certainly possible. And it's the old rob Peter to pay Paul. As you know, the micro 4/3 system is a little bit limited in terms of resolution. However, in terms of lightweightness, particularly that gorgeous lens that I don't know if Mr. Blake has let you have a go of, or anyone else? That big white 150 to 400, which doesn't weigh anything. It's amazing.
Oh,
it's
really?
an amazing lens.
Oh, wow.
It's so lightweight. So anyway, we're not sponsored by anyone on the show. So
no, that's right. Yeah.
Name one inspiration in photography for you.
Yeah, so I'm going back to when I was a kid, and all my friends had their pop stars on the wall, and my bedroom, or no, I was more a teenager, I suppose. My bedroom was plastered with Dombrowski and Steve Parrish, just absolutely plastering my wall. And I think with Dombrowski, that I did a lot of wilderness walking in Tassie when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and that inspired me. But Steve Parrish inspired me because I don't know, I think I just loved a lot of his photography, and I've just finished his Pathway to Purpose masterclass with him, because I love the way he's gone a little bit more artistic now with his work. And so, it's 6 big modules and takes forever, and you end up doing a business plan and a whole lot of other stuff. But I like his work now, very creative arty stuff. Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because I seem to remember when I first got into photography, this is back in the late 80s, 90s, Steve Parrish was in every post office in Australia.
Yes, yeah.
All the calendars and the postcards and all that sort of stuff. And you couldn't help but get inspired by, and you're right, particularly his wildlife or his bird photography here in Australia was pretty epic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do sell your photography, don't you?
I do, yeah. So I do markets. I'm having a bit of a break at the moment, but yeah, I sell at markets.
So what was the first photo you sold? Can you remember?
My first big major one was Nankin Kestrel canvas. And that was quite exciting because it's quite a huge canvas, quite a well-made one. So that was very exciting. Just to some people down at a Christmas market.
Fantastic.
So it's just...
we're going to circle back to your journey of selling your photos, but
sure.
What's more important, exposure or composition?
Right. Who do I suck up to, you, Brendan, or to
Doesn't matter. There's no.
All right.
You are your own person. You answer it honestly.
Well, I sit on the fence because I know we all make that conscious decision to place the visual subject wherever we want to make it look the best. So we get that really good photo. But I think the light really makes it a winner, like makes it a cracker shot if you get the light right. But I don't think you can do one without the other. So, I sit on the fence and say both.
The most politically correct answer we've had so far.
Thanks.
Well done.
I don't like conflict, Brendan.
You get splinters sitting on fences, though. What's your dream photography location?
Yes, so because I live in the dry, crackly country, I would love to go up to far north Queensland, and I saw recently Cam and Cheryl had that Daintree trip, and that's a spot that's in my bucket list. And I thought, oh God, I've got to do that trip with them. I'd love to do that trip with them. The macro with Cheryl and that. So just a little bit of northern Queensland stuff. I think different fauna, different flora, green, ferny. It'll be nice. Yeah.
Definitely. Nice and humid for you.
I do love our dry, crackly country, but it's, just to go somewhere different.
So last question in burst mode. What would you say is your best achievement in photography to date?
Oh, crikey.
I like it when we get them to pause and they have to think about it, see?
I think I really, and it goes back to that market thing. It's not the selling of the photos, but I just love talking to the people. And when I did this Steve Parrish course, you had to set yourself a creative life purpose for your photography. And I think I've got mine here. And I'm pretty proud that I sort of put it together. So mine's to foster connections to nature by sharing unique images and in the process inspire people to be touched by nature. And so
Wow.
I want people to be touched by nature through my photography if they can't get out there themselves, or it might inspire them to get out there.
That statement right there must motivate you daily. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's above my little computer. It's one of my room photos, so I just have that above my computer. And the whole 6 modules you do relates to that. With the Steve Parish course.
For those of you who weren't, can you read it again, please? I just want to hear that again.
Yeah.
One more time. Come on.
To foster connections to nature by sharing unique images and in the process inspire people to be touched by nature.
How awesome is that? So there you go, folks. If you ever needed we might actually put that whole quote in the description below, because there's a lot of motivators when it comes to photography. For me, what motivates for me is it's a business. It puts food on the table for my family, pays a mortgage, all that sort of stuff. That's one side of it. But when you start tapping into the more spiritual side of photography, the more mental side of photography in particular, and this day and age of mental health and that sort of stuff, I talk about it a lot with people, particularly when people are on workshops with us. And when we just did the Great Ocean Road recently, and we had a couple of gentlemen on that trip that you could tell sort of wanted to do a bit more with photography, but weren't really in touch with nature at all.
Right.
By the end of the trip, that had all changed. They started putting nature to the forefront and then photographing that, rather than trying to shove a camera in somewhere and looking for it through the lens. You actually immerse yourself first, and then you try and tell the story of that environment. Is that something that you like to do?
Yeah, so it's just the using all your senses while you're out there in nature, and that helps you determine what story you're going to tell in your photo. And also, like, before I retired, I was teaching sustainability in primary schools, and I would just spend a lot of time using my photos to teach the kids about nature and stuff, and then we'd go out to the bush, and it's because you've got to start when they're really young, I think, to get them inspired by the value of nature and the biodiversity. So
that's awesome. That's a really cool link with that you were teaching sustainability to primary school children. That would have also been a driver and a motivator for your photography as well.
Yep, they'd have to sit there and look through my photos for hours.
But
they loved them. I'd put up fungi photos, and then we'd have a lesson on camouflage, and I'd have photos of my things hidden away in nature, and they'd have to find it, and that was good. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. So let's talk beginnings. Let's get to the crux of the matter here. You said you were into hiking and outdoors and that sort of stuff. Photography goes hand in hand with that. Was the hiking and stuff the motivator for you to start getting into photography, or was there something else?
So my parents are very much into bushwalking, conservation. They're big land carers. And so my brother and I were taking on a lot of adventures, a lot to the Melly and the Wimmera, and a few other wild places. And so I think that started and Mum's a wildlife artist. So I think that encouraged me to pick up the camera, and Dad was interested a bit in photography too. And I think being immersed in nature all the time when you were young with your parents, and they'd let me just go off into the bush for the whole day, in Wyperfeld or wherever. I'd be up the dunes looking for birds and stuff. So it was just so I don't feel frightened when I'm in the bush. I don't feel I can go walking through the forest in the dark looking for glowy fungi or whatever, and I feel safe. And Dad just droned into us map reading and survival and all that stuff. So I feel pretty good reading the land, not getting lost when I'm out there and stuff. So and then I think just seeing nature all around me inspired me to pick up the camera and have a go at it. Yeah,
awesome. So you said you can't remember what the first camera was, but I would imagine you can still remember taking photos and being out there. And did you have an understanding early doors exactly what you were doing? In other words, you're capturing these moments for later, or was it more just you wanted to look closer at things through your lens?
Yeah, look, I did the usual learning photography in high school and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it was just basically taking shots, and a lot of my shots when I was young was a lot to do with nature and animals and stuff like that. Yeah, and I'm a big one for reading and learning, helping myself to learn and practicing. And I think I did that when I was young, and yeah, that was how I learned.
Yeah. So you said you did photography at school. So like
Yeah,
like
year
a high
12.
school, are we talking like
Yeah,
year 12 photography? Yep.
yeah. Dark room, all dark room mostly.
Okay. Yeah. And I would imagine shooting on things like a Pentax K1000, like the old film style cameras and that
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
yeah, it was all film and darkroom stuff, which was a really good base for learning photography, I think. But the kids still these days do darkroom stuff in school, so
Yeah.
it's good. Yeah.
I just want to circle back for a second, because we've spoken to a lot of photographers over the journey on this channel. There is a common thread when we start talking about how you got into photography, and it's normally a parent being artistic.
Yes.
And you mentioned your mother was a nature painter, basically. Is that
Artist.
right?
Yeah, they live in
Nature
an
artist,
artist community. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And did you find that just rubbed off on you?
Yes. So, I'd go down to Mum's studio, and when she does, for example, some rare orchid or something, she'll have this big wall just full of like research on it and photos and pictures and stuff. And so she could just look at that and study that. And I would just watch her sketch up, and all that composition and colour and tones all comes into it. And so I suppose I picked up a lot from that. And the whole house was covered in beautiful art and, of the high country or whatever. And you just see how these artists, and Mum as an artist, would lay out the painting like a photograph. That composition of foreground. That Mum would have the alpine daisies at the front, and the snow gums up the back and all that stuff.
So do you paint or sketch or other as well, or mainly is it just photography for you?
Yeah, no, look, I like to draw a little sketch and stuff like that, but no, it's mainly photography is my creative part.
See, for me, it was my mum was also very creative as well. And, I found, that's where I got it. However, I never had her patience to draw something and see your artwork come to life over such a long period of time when you're painting, sketching, all that sort of stuff. That's what I adore about photography, in particular digital photography, is the instant gratification that you get. Is that your way of thinking as well?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. No, I don't know why I didn't do any painting or drawing or anything like that. I suppose, I found that photography was my thing. I mean, Mum would have taught me if I'd asked, but I have a little sketchbook where I draw stuff, and Mum says it's really good. But and the other thing is, Mum uses all my photos for her painting.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
that's another different aspect. I get to see my photography interpreted in her art and stuff. So because she doesn't get out and about that much into the bush these days. They live on 30 acres of bush in an artist community, but so that's good. She can use all my photos now to do her art.
So at what point did you start to think, or did you even try to maybe start becoming? Look, you're not going to like the term professional photographer, but I'm afraid that's what you are.
No, I'm not.
you are, for the simple reason that you do sell your photography, and that makes you a professional photographer in the true sense of the word.
Don't tell a tax office.
Yeah, you're not even on here. What what was the genesis for that? Was it more just to fund the hobby, or did you get interest from people saying, "Hey, you could probably sell these"?
Main reason I think is that what I read out before, my purpose for photography is sharing nature, and even if it's like some markets I might sell $2,000 worth, some I might sell $400 worth, but even that one where I don't sell a lot, I just spend the whole day talking to people about nature, and I think that's my inspiration for doing it. Everything I sell goes into a special account to pay for workshops. That's how I paid for Murray Melly, which I find it's a lot of fun doing that. And that's the agreement we've got. that'll be my money for workshops and stuff. But yeah, so it wasn't the money aspect. I think it was just sharing nature with people.
Yeah, that's very,
and
very
people
cool.
love to talk about birds and things. They've
Yeah, for sure.
always got their own little experience with superb fairy wrens or whatever, and come and talk to you.
Yeah. And we will show off some of your photos in a little while. I just want to talk a little bit more about the equipment that you use. You say you're shooting Nikon now. It sounds like you went from a compact system that didn't have interchangeable lenses in the Canon SX, and then you went. Then did I hear you say it was a Nikon 5100 or something? 5200.
Yeah. And that was gifted to me by the community, because I would do a lot of.
Okay. How did this come about? Let's go.
Okay. Well, I'm one in Gornong. In all the communities, there's usually the same pack of people that are in the same committees, fire brigade, pool, and all that. But I'd also take my little camera, might have been the Canon PowerShot one, and take photos of all the events. So I was taking a lot of photos of community stuff, and I was just sitting in the karate class one day, and they came in with the 5200 and said they were going to gift it to me because no one in their committee was using it. They bought it, they got a grant for it, and so I ended up giving them money, a little bit of money to add to their committee, their community group. But that got me started. Handed that down to my son, and I went to a Richard Taddy night's photography workshop, and I think he really raved about the 750 for night photography.
Yep.
So I bought that one, and I don't remember why I went up to the 780. I think the 750 was getting pretty worn out. And I went to the 780. It had really good touch screen on the back, which I love using for macro, for focusing on different areas and stuff. Yeah. So I use my 780 as my backup camera.
Well, one thing I really enjoy about your photography, again, is how prolific you are. And you take a lot of photos, Flick.
I do.
No, which is brilliant. Like, that's so cool. It's good. I love it when people bring in cameras for me to service, and I can like a guy bought in a couple of happened to be Olympus cameras over the weekend, and they had the crap kicked out of them. And I'm like, this is good. I'm sick of seeing cameras that come into me that have sat so long in a cupboard that the battery no longer works, and this gear is made to be used, and particularly that. I actually owned a D50-100 for quite some time. We gave it away. We gave it away on the show early days.
I remember that. Yes,
Dave Clark, I think, is it Dave Clark? I think in Tasmania won it, and he, I think it was like episode 15. We gave away my old camera. And that was a D50-100, and that thing was an absolute workhorse.
Yeah,
and believe it or not, I actually still currently own a Nikon D750.
They're a good camera, the 750.
It's built like absolute Russian tanks. Like, they're so tough, and it's that build quality. I think for someone like yourself who is quite prolific with the camera would appreciate that. That I would imagine that you don't have a lot of breakdowns with your gear. Is that right?
No, when I was at Richard's course, my camera flew forward on the tripod and I smashed up the lens. But lovely Richard gave me a lens to use, and that was good. And that's probably, I reckon that's the only accident I've had. Yeah. So all my cameras get treated very roughly.
Yep.
Out in the dust and the dirt. And I put them straight on the dirt when I'm doing macro. And I'm not precious, but they seem to last pretty well.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, there's an endorsement for Nikon for sure. And the Z series, as I said, the mirrorless series from Nikon, doing fantastic things in terms of build quality is maintained. I did during the week got my hands on the Z5 Mark II.
Oh yeah.
Now, again, we are not sponsored by anyone, but if you're in the market, folks, for a good quality mirrorless camera that is pretty much affordable. I won't say it's cheap. It's not cheap, but but the features in this thing, like, it's amazing, and it's built so strong, and you can feel it. The flip screen's really strong. It's not flimsy. It's got that Nikon heritage. It's even got the little red thing around the grip that looks cool.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's actually harking back to their to that the D7 series, the 7000s and the 750s and that sort of stuff. So there's a little advice for you folks. The Nikon Z5 Mark II, that may very well be camera of the year for me when we get to our cameras of the year towards the back end of the year.
Sounds good.
So lenses, what kind of lenses do you own and shoot with now?
Yeah, so I was just using adapters for a while, because I couldn't afford.
So for those of you who don't know what that means, basically adapters were from the old SLR mirrored style cameras across to the mirrorless, because their lenses didn't come across.
That's
so you had to use an FTZ adapter or something it's called, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, F mount to the F to Z. I don't know. Yeah. But so I'm slowly working my way through replacing the ones with Z for the ones I use a lot. So I've got Z105. I bought a second-hand 180 to 600 for birding, and I just recently bought a 24 to 70 Z. So they're the three main ones I use, but I've got a Tamron 70 to 200 with an adapter, and I've got a wide-angle lens with an adapter, and I don't use them as much. So they can stay on the adapters, that's fine.
So when we're talking that, sorry, was it a 150 to 600 you said?
150 to 600, 180 to 600 Nikon.
180.
Is it 4.5 to, what is it? I wrote it down actually, 4.5 to 5.6 to 6.3.
Lovely piece of kit, particularly for birding. Do you find though, you were mentioning before about weight, do you use a monopod for that bad boy, or is it more handheld?
No, because I really go through the scrub, and I find the monopods get in the way. So it's just a matter of I take a little stool with me into the bush, because I like to sit patiently and see what's happening. So it's just getting your elbows in and holding it properly, and but it is heavy. It is heavy. So
so when you go out to shoot, do all the lenses come with you, or is it more you're going to choose a lens? Right, this is what I want to shoot with today.
Yep. So I go out usually with the big one mounted, and the macro I have a bag with all my snake bite kit and everything else in there, and I can fit my macro in there. A lot of the time I've got a Cygnus Tech diffuser too, so the big hood. So that can go into a flat pack, so that's all pretty good.
Nice.
But oh, my dog! Hang on, my dog's just opened the door.
Oh, don't let your dog pull out your cord like happened with us.
Yeah, I remember that was so funny, that one. Yes, because I watched all your episodes in a few months. I just watched them in the car. Oh, not watched them, but listened to them in the car. And,
thank you. That
was funny
you're
that
the one.
Day. So it's mainly the 105 and the bird. And in the car will be the 24 to 70. So like today I use that for all the fog photography.
Great.
So in the forest.
I want you to talk to me about, and this is going to be a shout out to the Bendigo Camera Club. You're a member of the Bendigo Camera Club, is that right?
Secretary.
Yeah, secretary. Very good. How long have you been involved with a camera club?
10 years. 10 years. Yep. No, it's been.
What do you get out of being a member of a camera club?
I think we're pretty lucky because we've got a really, really good camera club. Really friendly, not competitive. All the egos are left at the door.
Good.
And we do a mixture of the competitions, but we also have things like nights where people talk about their favourite photo. And Glenn Lavender was the one that planted that idea in my mind when I was at one of his workshops. And he actually came along the other night. We invited him to our night where you talk about your favourite photo, and it can be a really bad photo. It just means a lot to you, that photo. No one's allowed to critique it. You can ask questions about why that photo is important. And so we do that regularly. Trips. And last night we talked about why printing your photos are really good and just stuff like that. So, it's a very friendly club, and it's just every week we've got new members. So it's doing really well. It's quite healthy.
That's very cool. So when you go along to is it a monthly meeting or a fortnightly? How does that work?
3 meetings a month. Yeah.
Okay.
4 if you're on the committee.
Which is you.
4. Yes. Yeah. So every Tuesday pretty much. And if there's a 5th Tuesday, that's it. We go out for dinner.
Well, do you know off the top of your head how many members Bendigo's got?
Yeah, so we're about to hit, is it 80 or we might be hitting 70 or 80. We usually get
that's a healthy club.
Yeah, 30 or 40 coming around to a meeting. So yeah. So it's pretty.
And do you find
good.
it's that sense of community that really resonates? And I would imagine, like most clubs, you're going to have people like yourself who quite often end up in on the committee.
Yep.
Do you find that it's a lot of work, or is it not too bad?
Look, we've got a really good committee, and so we spread the load around. I mean, secretary, you do a lot of work, but I'm also a bit of a detailist, so I probably do more work than I really should. But no, it's a fair bit of work, but it's a good thing to be involved in deciding what we're doing for the year and trips, trips we're going to have, and we've got a really good relationship with another 3 camera clubs around us, so we often do things together. So formed friendships with those other clubs. And lots of really good friendships are formed. Every Thursday I go out with the birding group from the club, and there's the AV group and things like that. So
well, there's a top Down South Photo Show tip for you folks. If you've got a camera club in your area, go and say hello. And I'm imagining that's what it's like too. There's no obligation. I would assume you'd have people come to check it out, see what it's all about all the time.
Yep, we let them come for a few meetings before they decide if they like us, and they usually always join. So we have committee members that go and welcome people, and we make sure that they connect up to other people. We've got just had a young 12-year-old join.
You're doing something right.
Yeah.
So did you say you had a 12-year-old join?
Yes, young lad just joined, and he's been coming to every meeting, and he's been putting his photos on Facebook, and it's just really nice to see. So,
that's great. That's great. Grassroots stuff is very best. We mentioned earlier that the Bright Festival of Photography, where you and I met, and where you came on the bus trip and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
you've been to Bright quite a few years, haven't you?
This will be my 7th, I think.
Well, that's up there. That's a veteran of the Bright Festival of Photography.
Could be the 8th. I don't know. Yes. Yeah, I love it. The best.
we bang on a lot about Bright because both Cam and I have been there as presenters. What do you get out of Bright?
I think I push myself out of my comfort zone to do courses of things I don't normally do. And sometimes it's because I've missed out on going to other ones, and I just have to choose that. But in the end, I'm really happy I chose Japanese rope bondage or whatever I had to do. There's one year I was up in an airplane. I'm glad
someone else called it bondage. See, it is bondage. That was not prompted either.
That's right. One year they even had us all going up, well, not all of us, but if you paid for it, you could go up in an airplane over the snowy mountains and, open door and just things like that. That was a great one, that one. But also the people make it special. Lots of friendships, just seeing the same people every year. Get all excited when you see them. And I also like the craziness and fun of it. It's pretty much an excuse to have fun with a bit of photography on the side.
Absolutely. And that, I've only been to, this will be my 4th one. I've been to the last 3 and only last year as a presenter. And that's definitely what it is for me. Again, community. It's kind of like a camera club, but let loose.
Yeah.
Let their hair down, and it's a lot of fun. And I think the thing that I like, one of the things I like most about BFOP is BFOP HQ, and that's it feels like there's something going on there from sunrise to sunset and beyond.
You
don't have to it's not just workshop. It's you can take a big break. You can take a few hours off in the middle, go and see the trade show, watch a talk, a seminar, talk to the presenters that are there, talk to other photographers that are there. It's a real hub, and it's just a brilliant event.
Yeah, it's almost like a big family too, because you do get to know everyone there. And like, I went off to the Croydon Camera House 40th birthday, and I found a table full of BFOP people that I'd never met before. But because I was a BFOPper and they were BFOPers, it was just really very welcoming, and it was good. Yeah.
And to that end, folks, if you haven't got a ticket for BFOP, don't bother, because they're impossible to get now. However, there is a waiting list. So if you go to that website that I just had, and I'll put back up, bfopaustralia.com.au, you can jump on there. There is a waiting list where you can sign up to try and get tickets for this year, and then tickets will go on sale for next year. So just bear that in mind. So we're going to get to some images in a sec, but where do you want to go with this, Flick? I mean, do you find you're in your happy place now, or have you got grand plans to do more with your photography as we go down the track?
I think I'm in my happy place now, which is going out. Well, I love going out by myself in the bush. I like solitude, but I also love my camera club family. I want to do more workshops, so that's why I have to do more markets. I'm about to go on a 5-day whale photography tour with Ben Erickson, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Where is that, Flick?
Eden. So
brilliant.
we're in a lovely bed and breakfast near the beach, and we just go out every day looking for whales. But then I have to start saving up again, and I want to do the Great Ocean Road one with you guys, and I want to do the Daintree one with Cam. I have a list on the wall.
Yep. Yeah. You would love the Great Ocean Road. I mean, you've probably been there before, but
My family had a holiday house down there, so at Apollo Bay.
God's own country there. I love it.
I know, beautiful.
Yes.
Yep.
So
next to Merv Hughes had the unit next to us.
Oh, is that right? There you go. For those of you listening to the show, I do highly recommend you at some point jump onto YouTube and have a look at these photos I'm about to put up on the screen. And Flick here is going to walk us through a few. Now, did you send these to me in any particular order? Are you happy for me to put them up as they come? Because I want to start with this one. So let's start right here. I mean, for goodness sake, that's art. That's absolute art. So can you talk us through this image, please?
Yeah, so that's sort of the stuff I like to do at the moment. Like when you're a bird photographer, you get a lot of birds on sticks photos, and I think I've reached a point at the moment where I want to get away from that and be a little bit more arty. This is one I took. It was a wild bird. I was at Hillsville Sanctuary, but it was a wild bird because they've got little creeks and things. So it was a wild darter, and its other name is a snake bird because of its long neck. So when it's swimming, often you just see the long neck coming out of the water. And it's just preening, gathering up oil from its oil gland. There are species of bird that don't have they have to re-oil their feathers often. That's why you see cormorants and things with their wings out drying. So they've got to spend a fair bit of time drying their wings and re-oiling them and stuff like that. So in Lightroom, I just pretty much, it had a darkish background anyway, but I just emphasised that and just put on, I suppose it's like an orangey, monochromy effect onto it.
Yeah, it has a real. It's hard to explain. It is like a monochrome effect, but it's still got the subtlety of the bronze, almost a bronze feel of it. Like it feels like a bronze statue. This image.
Yep.
Not sure if that was a look you were going for, but it certainly has got that. And there's something really engaging about this image, and I know it's just doing its thing and preening itself, but I saw this image first and I was like, is this bird in trouble? Like, what are we looking at here? And I actually felt sorry for it. I thought, but it's just the way you've captured it. And it's a stunning image, Flick. That's a great shot.
Thanks for that. They're beautiful. One of my favorite bird starters, and it's the females do have this orange colour through them, so it's quite beautiful. Yeah,
that's a ripper. So let's have a look at
thank you.
this little guy right here. I think I know where this is.
Yeah. So I went to Lake Tyrrell with Cam and Brendan on the Murray Melly thing, and I had my drone there, but I didn't use it because I wanted to do on-land photography because that's what we were there for. Yep. But I went back later with Tom Putt and did his drone workshop. And this was early in the morning, so the sun was hitting all the rises on well, they're not sand dunes, but sort of raised up sandy areas with salt bush on them. And just that's what Tom told us to aim for and get the golden bits. And I just fell in love with drones on that workshop. Like I did a little bit after we finished our workshop. Went out with one of the other participants, which was what workshops are all about. Connect and that, and seeing it from the sky was so amazing. Like,
would I be right in saying that this is like to the top of that photo is the car park? Is that right?
No.
Is that the walkway that runs through the middle of the?
No, because I think the walkway is quite curvy, isn't it?
Yeah,
the start
sure.
Actually the start might be straight, but then it goes really curvy.
Yeah,
after a while.
Yeah, it's just a gorgeous image. I mean, it's such good use of light for one, but the composition itself, it's intriguing, and and I think this is the beauty of the bird's eye angle that drones give you now. Is you see a lot of award-winning shots from drones now that are done. What I call it the bird's eye view. I don't know what it's actually called, top down or whatever you want to call it, but it is basically looking straight down on top of your subjects like that. They can be a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, it is, and Tom really encouraged us to not to stay up at that 120, but to get down really low. To get into those textures you can see down the bottom left and that. So
definitely.
By the end of the course, we were getting confident about flying low over things and stuff. Yeah, so it was good. Yeah,
cool. I love it. Right, so let's have a look at this one.
So I suppose, like I was saying before, I just don't want to do a stick with a bird on it. Get some more habitat in the shots and maybe behaviour and stuff. And this was in Chiltern at my husband's auntie's farm, and I just went for a walk, and there was just swallows everywhere, chattering. You can see that top left one's got something to say.
Yeah, definitely.
The one on the right was landing. So I had to pump up my shutter speed to about, I think, 1/2000th for that to catch the one coming in. But it was, so just, I like it because it's got that habitat and the reeds all coming in an arch and things like that.
No, the composition's really, really neat, and the bird with its wings right out as well. When you are doing this kind of photography, are you shooting fully manual or are you shooting shutter priority? What's your go-to for birding?
I'm manual on everything pretty much because I think I've got I just don't have to look. It's just that finger, that muscle memory. So I can quickly change things over. And I think that's good staying with one brand, like the Nikon. You know exactly where everything is, no matter what you change up to. And just that general understanding how shutter, ISO, and aperture affect each other, and knowing how much to change it. And
that's definitely a top tip there as well. We bang on about this a lot, and that is, for yourself, you clearly use your camera pretty much on the daily, but we find a lot of people who may not have the ability to shoot daily or shoot regularly. We tell people to get the camera out while they're watching TV and just play with the buttons and say, this is how I change shutter, this is how I change this is how I change ISO, and just get used to those things.
That's right.
As you say, muscle memory is really important when it comes to settings, particularly when you've got to shoot, pardon the pun, on the fly for photos like that.
You do. You have to think fast. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you've got to make sure that your astro settings from the night before have been, switched over.
Yes.
Like we were up the mountain the other day at Turek National Park, and there was this beautiful wedge-tailed eagle right next to the car. And what was I shooting the night before? The aurora. And so it's like delays and But anyway, I got the shots.
There's something about that, isn't there? When you get your camera out and you push the button for the first time and you realise nothing's happening because it's got a self timer set.
Yeah, and then it's going for 20 seconds or whatever. It's like shit. Yep. But anyway,
why have I got such a long shutter speed?
Yeah, but that's what I love about these cameras. You've got your 4 different shooting menus. So I've got birds, macro, landscape, and then just general.
So you're talking about the custom settings, right? So where you can actually, so it's basically like, mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4.
Yeah, it's probably
and you dial up your preferences. See, and this is another thing that I see a lot is people get these great cameras, but they don't even know that that's available.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's brilliant because you can, you don't have to fiddle around changing settings. You flick your dial, 1 click, 2 clicks, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And that mode's all set up for you.
That's right. I'll just press B for birds and we're all good. We're over there. Yep.
I love it. So this is a cracker. This is probably a really good example of fantastic composition, not only helped by the wrought iron fence. The fact that the bird landed there, I'm so glad it's not right at the top.
Yeah. Yep. So we're very lucky because we live in a heritage property, a 150-year-old house with old buildings, and these gates are everywhere, these beautiful old iron gates. And I leave the cobwebs on purpose there, just like I do in my house. It seems to be a spot where the fairy wrens love to watch the world, and this is the entrance to the orchard. So I just have a chair and I sit there waiting for him to go in the right spot, and it's all good. Wait for the morning, the morning sun and morning light.
So there's one thing about that photo that just talks to me straight away, and it's the tiniest detail, and it's the catch light in the eye of the bird.
Yeah, very important with bird photography. And, that's what I talk to people about when I'm helping people with photography. It could be just 1 step to the left or 1 step to the right, and just waiting that 1 second, you'll get that catch light, or you'll get that beautiful background with a purple wildflower bokeh in the back or whatever. It can be just 1 step, and or just waiting patiently. Yeah.
It's all about, absolutely. Let's have a look at this one. So this is
so like Cheryl was talking about in the last one, I use the same as her, the Cygnus Tech diffuser. I've had it for a very long time, and I go out at night into our backyard and do a lot of night macro and around our property and stuff. So this is a she oak, and then that's a little lacy a silky lacewing sitting on it. And I just loved, so you get a little torch with your Cygnus Tech diffuser, so you can actually light up and focus using that. But if you want bugs in your backyard, plant she oaks. Bugs and insects love them for roosting at night. And Cheryl's getting quite excited because I told her that at night we have all the male native bees just going in a line down all of the she oak leaflet things. And it's really cool. I'll go out there, there's dragonflies staying for the night in there and everything. Yeah, so these are quite interesting beasts because their larvae are called antlions, and they make a little hole in the sand. You often see them up in the Mallee and stuff, little holes in the sand, and they've got these big mandibles that crunch, like a little bug will fall down the little hole and they'll crunch it and suck all their juice out. Wow. Quite beautiful when they're adults.
That's awesome. Now, there's something about this photo as well, and I think what it is for me, and I'm not sure whether this was intentional, but you've added a human element into this insect, and that is, bug, insect, I suppose it's an insect. And to me, this thing is playing peekaboo behind the stick. Like it's like you can't see me. I'm hiding behind this, and to me that's to me that's the sign of a fantastic photo, is that level of engagement on a human level.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure, was that intentional or has it just happened to be
Yeah,
that
it was.
that's where it was behind? Yeah.
No, because I'll spend a long time with one bug, just thinking about going from one side to the other. And it's funny because I titled this one "You Can't See Me," and
there you go.
It was it the image of the year? I can't remember, for the club or something. Anyway,
Wow.
Yeah. So, no, it's good, and he just was sitting there with the sheer oak thing going down, and took a few good shots, and all good.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to pop this one up on the stage. Now, there's two versions of this photo. Let's start with this one.
Oh, the one I sent you.
Yeah. So I'm curious now. This is something that came about because after we did the Mallee, I asked a few participants to send me some photos because I wanted to show them off on the channel and show what we do when we go out. This is also Lake Tyrrell. So, So you sent me this, we gave it a bit of feedback on the show, and then you took that feedback on board and did a different edit to it. Is that right?
Yeah. Your the three bits of advice from you and Cam was maybe a little bit less sky, so that I call them they're like plate tectonics of sand, was more of a feature. To brighten up the salt, I suppose it's more salt, the salt layer.
It is more salt,
yeah, and make it more pink, because to me, I think that was more the natural colour, but we can be artistic with our photos, so
absolutely,
maybe make it a bit more pink, and then I just increased the contrast, which I think brought up that white. Maybe I'm not quite sure, but I thought it might have brought up the white. You can see that little ridge cap of white on the top.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know if I overdid the pink, or maybe I didn't.
Well, there we go. There's the edit. So
yeah,
that's interesting, isn't it? Because I personally, I don't know how this worked, but I think the advice actually worked. The hero of the shot is the fold in the sand, in the salt.
Yes,
is the tectonics, as you call it.
Yeah.
So let's go back. So that's that one. There's the original, which is a great shot. Don't get us wrong. It's a great shot.
No.
But that subtle bit of editing, it's not a lot, but it's there. And to me, that makes a better shot.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you guys giving back the feedback on it. And no, you're right. When I look at the other one now, I think it's actually quite dull. And yes, the sky is taking away from the main feature. So I do thank you for your feedback. That's what it's all about, these workshops and stuff. So that's good.
No worries at all. But you've done a good job. It was a good shot to begin with, but you've done a good job with the edit as well.
Yeah. Thanks.
Let's have a look at this. Holy smokes! So how long does this wasp stay still for?
Well, he wasn't, because he was getting really annoyed with a bee that was sitting in flowering thyme in my veggie garden. He's sitting on it might be a pumpkin. I think it's a pumpkin leaf. And he was still, and then this bloody bee came down, and he was getting annoyed with it. So it's a 2-coloured orange spider wasp. So they predate on huntsmans and wolf spiders. So they paralyze them and then take them down into their hole, and they get egg in them, and then the larvae feed on the spider. But he was getting rather annoyed, but he did stand still for one little while. He was getting a bit aggressive with this annoying bee, but then he stood quite still. And I think on that one, I turned off my Cygnus Tech diffuser. I think because that often gives quite a dark background. Often, you get a black background behind it, and often I'll just love the colour behind a bug or a fungus or whatever. So 50% of the time I'll turn my diffuser off.
So when you say turn the diffuser off, you mean turn the flash off completely?
Yeah, and then I have to quickly just fiddle with my settings, because I usually, when I've got the Cygnus Tech diffuser on, I'm ISO 200, 1/200th of a second, and f11, and then I play around with the intensity of the flash. But I do find it takes away from that beautiful background often, the soft bokeh of the background, and I'll turn it off, and then I'll put my ISO right up and all that stuff. So
So you come across as someone who actually not only enjoys the photography and enjoys the nature side of things, you know a lot about what you're shooting as well, the subjects. Do you find that's advantageous when you're out shooting, when you might know, I'm sorry, I've already forgotten the dual-coloured orange
two-coloured orange spider wasp.
Clearly,
yeah,
I'm no David Attenborough, but do you find that helps you?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, most of my career has been as a wildlife biodiversity planner with government, so I've got that background, zoology degrees and all that stuff. So it's pretty easy for me to work out ways to identify these species if I don't know them and know about what anatomy to use. But I take the photos home and I use them to help identify it, because often when you're looking at them, you don't know how many segments are in an antennae, or how big the thorax is and stuff. So really good for identification. No,
that's
and I
awesome.
love knowing about the subject. That's all part of it for me, is learning about the biology and ecology of that species, so I can talk to people about that creature.
Absolutely. So what about this guy?
Yeah, we're pretty lucky on our property. We've got 87 species of birds on our property. We have rainbow beaters nesting and amazing bird life, because we've got 7,000 hectares of box ironbark across the road, and we've got the farming land and all that. So I would just walk out every day and I can get some pretty good shots. And it's a very common bird, the white-plumed honeyeater. But I don't care if it's a common bird. I just like to get some pretty good shots of even the common species. So
but the gorgeous background, the milky, creamy background you've got going on here is what, to me, makes it. I mean, if that was a black background or just a white or a blue sky, that's not going to do it. That makes that whole scene so that much better.
Yes, and that's quite an important thing often in bird photography, is that simple background. And so again, like I said, that might be, if that had a big patch of white sky there, I'll step to the right a bit, I'll step to the left a bit, or whatever. It's been very observant of the background.
Absolutely.
But
well, look, it wouldn't be a down south photo show without us finishing on a landscape-ish photo.
I know. So just down the road.
Was this taken today, or?
No, we get some good fogs around here. So sometimes when it's foggy, I choose to do our forest, because a lot of Australian forests are quite, in a nice way, messy. So often when you get that fog, it simplifies them. So just 5 minutes down the road, we've got the Campaspe River. So we were lucky. We've got the forest, the river, the farmland, and the giant river red gum. So, and just to the left of this, there's these beautiful giant round boulders. They're like huge, and they're covered in green, iridescent green moss. So it's called Rocky Crossing.
Okay.
Quite a well-known spot for the locals, although the public's getting to know it now. So things are getting a little bit trampled and a lot of rubbish left around. But anyway,
well, you're going to have to pull a Dombrovskis, and you're going to have to get that photo published so that people know that it's an area worth protecting. So And to that end, it does look like you've channeled your inner Dombrovskis with that photo, because it feels like a Dombrovskis, doesn't it?
Oh, thank you. That's
well, it does. It really does. I mean, you can see that style there, and fog. I mean, how good is fog?
Yes. I know fog just simplifies everything. It's just I love heading out in the fog. Like, a lot of our forest has been dying from the drought, so a lot of the shrubs are but they're this gorgeous bronze color at the moment. I know it's sad they're dying, because that's my area, that's my home, that forest. But in the fog, you've got these beautiful yellow gums, the fog, and all this bronzy dead vegetation. It just was a beautiful photos. So I haven't edited them yet.
Let's do a bit more of a deeper dive with fog, because if you have a look at that photo, if you take the fog away from that photo, you're not going to get that separation from the big tree in the foreground, and even the pond behind, and then the trees behind that, they are diffused when it comes to fog. This is why it's such fantastic light to shoot in, because you get separation of subject in a forest, which is difficult to achieve without using big zoom lenses. This to me looks like it's shot with something wider. I could be wrong, but it does look like it's been shot with something wider, and it's able to give you that separation of background. So if you're ever lucky enough to be in a forest in the fog, folks,
it's gorgeous.
Get the camera out.
Yeah, and especially like in our box ironbark forest, when the understory is pure wattles in flower, and you get that fog, and then all the spider webs are glistering, and it's just beautiful. Yeah. So today was just, I think I got some good shots, but should be good. It's meant to be foggy tomorrow too, so.
Oh, well, that's a win. How much time do you spend editing photos?
Quite a bit, because I really enjoy editing. And I enjoy it too, because I do my editing in the lounge room. I've got my desk in the lounge room next to the crackly wood fire, and I like being there with the family and listening to the family and all that stuff. So I'm in my husband's messy office at the moment, but so I don't know. Oh, look, Murray Melly, I spent a lot of time. Because you're taking thousands of shots there. A bird trip out in the bush for the half a day. I go out every Thursday for a day with some bird friends, and that might be a few hours. But you get a bit more selective, don't you? After a while,
you do. But I find with experience as well, you get more selective in the field. So you
do.
That's one thing that it's just happened naturally over the journey. Is I'm taking less photos in the field. Mainly for a number of reasons. One, I'm lazy and I don't like wading through thousands of dud images that were pointless taking. When you know you've got the shot, well, then you move on. Whereas back in the day, I'd get the shot and then I'd try and get another shot that was almost identical and didn't improve it at all. And I think that's one thing that you do learn. But when it comes to editing, are you a Lightroomer or are you Photoshop? What are you using mainly?
I use Lightroom mainly, but if I want to do stacking or maybe a little bit of removal of some things, I use Photoshop. Yeah. So, but I'm the same. It's hard with a lot of wildlife photography because you're bursting 20 frames per second or whatever. So you do come back with a lot, but that's where you capture that perfect shot. So, yeah.
So tomorrow's Thursday. We're recording this on a Wednesday. So you go out with a group specifically to take bird photos every Thursday. Is that right?
Yeah. So they're from the camera club. There's 4, 5, 6 of us that go out, and we we make it a social thing and have a nice cafe lunch. And so tomorrow we're going up to Mount Meleagle, where you're above the wedge-tailed eagles soaring, so they catch the uplift. So you're actually either at eye level or they're below you and you're at the top of this mountain, and it's got sort of habitat behind the eagles, so you get those nice shots. And all the robins are arriving there too, so should be good fun.
That's so cool that you've formed like a little splinter group within the camera club that goes out and does that. And I'm assuming there's other little groups around as well that go out and do their thing too.
You've got the night photographers, and then we've got a bunch, and the third Tuesday are for people that love doing AVs and videos, and so that's a little group there too. So it is good. It is good, and we stir each other all day, but it's always fun day.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
No.
Flick, this has been fantastic. Thank you. We've as we always do. I say, give me an hour of your time. We always go over on these sort of things, but hopefully people have enjoyed that and enjoyed your journey into photography and what you do. You do a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I think there was a particular image that you took, and you may or may not remember it, but it stuck with me. And it was when I thought, I've got to get this lady on the show. And that was when we're in Swan Hill, and we were at outside the Pioneer Settlement, and there was the paddle steamer there.
Yep.
and I think it was some little swallows landed on a little rope.
Yes. Yep.
And I saw you immediately went to work. Like, I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is someone who clearly knows their way around a camera, but you picked up the camera and you were doing that thing. You were moving small things at a time and getting it right. And then you showed me the photo. I'm like, I've got nothing to teach you. That's amazing. Like,
that's what was great about that workshop was, we did a lot of wide open landscape, but you guys were really encouraging everyone to look at the little stuff as well. And I think a lot of the other participants enjoyed that, but that's something I love doing anyway. So it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about the tours that we run. We like to think that if people want to pick our brains the whole day, they can.
Yeah.
But for people like yourself who are clearly, you know a fair bit about your gear, you know how to take a photo, but you just want the locations, then that's fine too. We don't care if you don't talk to us all day. We're going to kick you off the bus, you go for a walk, you come back, that's fine.
No, but I did learn things. So
I think you always do. Right?
I think you do too. I think you learn, a lot of, you get out of your comfort zone and you try a few different things, and like different eyes to look at your photos and suggest some editing and things like that. Yeah, no, it's good.
It's
good to always learn.
And
I love teaching people too, like taking people out on little macro walks and stuff like that.
Yeah,
great joy in doing that. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have all your information linked below. I'm assuming there is an Instagram page. I know that. We'll have all that linked there as well. We might even put some links to the Bendigo Camera Club as well, if you don't mind. We'll chuck that down there for you.
Yes, that'd be great. Yep. My websites are very old, so don't go there. That's
all right. We'll just send you the Instagram page.
Yeah, it's mainly Facebook and Insta. Mainly Insta. Yeah.
Yep. If you've enjoyed this show, leave a comment below, because I know that Flick's going to read them. So if you want to, if you've got any questions for her, just hit us up in the comments below. That'd be awesome. You can get in touch with Flick, as I say, through the information we'll leave below. Thank you again, Flick. That was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed yourself. And see, there was nothing to be nervous about, was there?
Yeah, no, I've been worried about it all day, but you've made me feel very relaxed. Thank you.
That's fine.
I'm like,
it's all right.
Why did he choose me?
No one listens this far. You can say whatever you want now. It's
good.
All right. Thank you again. This has been episode 166 of the Down South Photo Show. We will see you. Well, I will. I don't know who's going to be over there, but we'll see them for episode 167. Bye for now. Thanks, Flick.
See you, everyone. Thank you.